Friends, in just a moment, we are going to begin the funeral services for Susie Dickman. If you have a cell phone or a pager, I would ask for you to please take a moment to turn it off or place it in the silent mode. And officiating this morning's services will be Cantor Jennifer Frost and Rabbi Philip Sherman.
Saein ayel harim me'ayin yavo Ezri me'im Adonai oseh shamayim va'aretz Ezri me'im Adonai oseh shamayim va'aretz Hine lo yadum v'lo yishan Shomer Yisrael Hine lo yadum v'lo yishan מאין יבוא עזרי, עזרי מעם אדוני עושה שמיים וארץ. I lift my eyes to the mountains. What is the source of my help? My help comes from Adonai, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way. Your protector will not slumber. See, the protector of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is your guardian, your protection at your right hand. The sun will not strike you by day, nor the moon at night. God will guard you from all harm. God will guard your soul, your going and your coming, now and forever. I am so sorry for your loss. We are so sorry for your loss. This BJBE community, all of the communities that encircle you, stand with you, holding you, embracing you. Lean on us. We are here. And so today we mourn and we celebrate the life of a mother and a sister and an aunt and a cousin, a bubbie and a dear friend. We celebrate a woman who is fierce and compassionate and witty and sassy, with a smile that could light up a room and always a twinkle in her eye. And we stand with you in those memories, and we hold you in those memories, and we will continue to share those memories.
And I know it's particularly meaningful to Susie's family that so many rabbinic and cantorial colleagues are here this morning to honor her memory. Kohelet wrote, "The eye never has its fill of seeing. Young or old, those who depart this life never see enough of the world, never complete their task, never cherish their loved ones enough before they are called home. How they yearn for yet another respite from the final summons, and how we yearn to have them close to us for yet another challenge in our lives, yet another joy, yet another precious moment together. God, be now with those whose hearts are broken because whenever parting comes, it comes too soon. Console them at this hour. Be near to them when light seems distant. Sustain them, O God, until the time of healing." So we continue to recite psalms, linking Susie's memory to the long and proud history of our people. Psalm 15, Adonai mi yagor ba'ohalecha mi yishkom bahar kodshecha. Holech tamim ufo'al tzedek v'dover emet bi levavo. Adonai, who may abide in your house? Who may dwell in your holy mountain? Those who are upright, who do justly, who speak the truth within their hearts, who do not slander others or wrong them or bring shame upon them, who scorn the lawless but honor those who revere God, who give their word and come what may do not retract, who do not exploit others, who do not take bribes. Those who live in this way shall never be shaken. So I want to invite you at this time to open your pamphlet to the words of the 23rd Psalm. As we know, the 23rd Psalm offers us a way of looking at the world that perhaps is a little less frightening, for the way of teaching us to deal with the loss of the people that we love. Instead of forsaking a God who allows our loved ones to die, it brings us closer to a God who is near to us and with us in our loss, and who ultimately leads us through the valley of the shadow of death and back into light. Let us read these words together. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
Adonai roi lo echsar bino dashayar bitseini al mei menuchot yenaleini Nafshi yashovev, Yancheini v'maglei tzadak. Yanecheini v'maglei tzadak. Leman shemo. Gam ki elech megeitz al mavet lo irara ki ata imadi shivtecha umishanetecha heima yanachamu Ta'aroch lefanai, shulchan neged zorai, dishanta v'shem en roshi, kosi revaya. Ach tov v'chesed yirdefuni kol yemei chayai v'shavti beveit Adonai leorech yamim. Adonai roi lo echsar. Adonai roi lo echsar. We are an ancient people, and we are well acquainted with grief and the valley of the shadows. Death and sorrow, they are not strangers to us, yet the centuries have taught us that a good name endures beyond the grave. And Susie had a good name. And our tradition also teaches that there is strength in faith. So with Job we say now, Adonai Natan, God, you gave us Susie who will not be forgotten. For all that was good and enduring in her life, we offer the deepest thanks of our hearts. and Adonai lakach, and God, you have taken away. And so we pray now for the strength to turn our broken hearts into an altar of trust before which we acknowledge your sovereignty as we say, Yehi Shem Adonai Mevarach. Blessed be the name of God, now and forever. It does great honor when the people who loved us the most and knew us the best offer words of praise. So I invite Reni and Alyssa now to come forward and to offer a few words about their mom.
I want to see you all. My mom's birthday was last Monday, and we really wanted to have a party for her. She turned 80. I wish this were her birthday party. She would have loved to see you all. So I'm just pretending that's what we're doing. And I'm going to keep it together because I want to sing her praises. My mom did so many things right. She called, she sent thank you notes, birthday cards, and anniversary cards. She sent gifts for new babies, graduations, and weddings. She made donations in memory of people she loved and causes she cared about. She always RSVP'd. She picked us up. She signed us up for field trips and camp and gymnastics and Hebrew school. She came to all of our performances. She cooked dinner every night. She kept all her papers in labeled files. She never ate a meal without a napkin on her lap, and she never left home without lipstick. She was always prepared, with an umbrella for the rain, with cash for a tip, a detailed itinerary for any trip. In her house, there was always plenty of wrapping paper and a drawer full of ribbons and bows, drawers with extra batteries and scissors, a tape measure and crazy glue, all the things I can never find in my house. But in my parents' house, everything had its place. And both my parents had a thing for office supplies. For my dad, staying organized was aspirational, but for my mom, it was an absolute. My mom read the Sun-Times. I think she was the last subscriber. She read every issue, cover to cover, just not always on the same day. She loved The Sound of Music. She had a framed picture of herself at the gazebo on the Sound of Music tour. I remember her 8-track tapes of Neil Diamond and Neil Sedaka and Barry Manilow and Karen Carpenter. She loved the Bears, the Bulls, the White Sox, and the Fighting Illini. I have a clear picture of my parents sitting on the couch, my mom watching a football game, and my dad reading the Wall Street Journal. My mom's calendar was meticulous. Her month-by-month paper calendar with her neat handwriting, all birthdays and anniversaries marked for the year, Bears games and Bulls games marked for the season, along with the Super Bowl, the Oscars, and the Kennedy Center honors. Theater and symphony dates, lunch and dinner plans, lectures and classes. I can just hear my dad saying, "Susie, can we just stay home for one weekend?" My mom was a planner. She could plan a Seder for 40 like a pro, which she did for almost 40 years in our basement. She kept all her lists and recipes in a file that she pulled out every year. She took so much pride in hosting the Seder and using my Aunt Nettie's dishes. On the second night, she organized the Dickman family Seder for many years. Family Hanukkah party was another file. She was a true hostess. My mom planned vacations, birthday parties, and bat mitzvahs with ease, and she always knew what was for dinner. She was so good at all of it. My mom was co-president of the PTA at Ravinia School. One year, she and Linda Lawrence planned February Fling, a week-long experience when kids got to take all different kinds of classes. Think Hugim for the week. I think a lot of the teachers were parents, and Linda and my mom organized it all. My mom delivered lox boxes for Temple and put stickers on our clothes to give away so they could be sold at the Temple rummage sale.
Mom always made sure we had our quarters to give to tzedakah at Sunday school and that our bags for camp were packed with everything we needed. Every single year we went to camp, when we arrived, there was already a letter from her waiting for us that started with, "You are upstairs sleeping right now." There were cards for Valentine's Day, Hanukkah gifts purchased and wrapped in July. My mom was on it. My mom was good at so many things that are not easy, but she made them look that way. She always kept her address book in the top drawer of her desk, meticulous like her calendar. In the next drawer was stationery and cards for thank you notes. She wrote beautiful thank you notes. Our mom loved her South Shore roots, where she lived on Merrill Avenue with her parents Grace and Ray Merlander and her sister Harriet. When we were little, we would go to the grocery store on Roger Williams in Highland Park, and every single time we would run into someone she knew from high school. After the greetings ended, she would just say, "South Shore." We didn't even know what that meant. We just knew it was some happy place where my mom used to live. She loved South Shore Temple and South Shore High School, where she was a cheerleader. I think those were really happy days for her. As a child, my mom played piano, but she hated it. Her friends Donna and Diane remember waiting outside to see her because our bubbie wouldn't let them come in until my mom was done practicing. My mom was a devoted friend. She had friends from every chapter of her life, all the way back to elementary school. Her Breakfast Club friends, the South Shore girls, Von Steuben ladies, friends she met through Arthur Anderson, neighbors on Broadview and Judson, friends from BJBE and from Sinai Temple in Michigan City. She was always thinking about her friends and her cousins and who she needed to call. She was on the phone a lot. I remember her making dinner with the phone in the crook of her neck, the spiral cord stretching across the kitchen. She was also a dutiful daughter. She and my Aunt Harriet drove our bubbie where she needed to go, took her to her hair appointments so her perfectly shaped beehive hairdo always looked nice. We often picked up our bubbie to bring her to Temple. When Reni was in 6th grade and I was in 8th, my dad was offered a promotion, but we would have had to move to Baltimore. My parents told us we were going to move, but soon they changed their mind because my mom did not want to leave my bubbie.
My mom met my dad because my grandmother, Faye Dickman, had breast cancer. When she was in the hospital, she had a roommate named Beverly Yellen. As the story goes, my grandmother knew that her cancer was fatal, and she told Beverly that she knew she would not live to see my father get married, but she hoped that he would find someone to spend his life with. Apparently, Beverly asked how tall my dad was. When my grandmother replied that my dad was 5'4", Beverly told her that her daughter was too tall, but that she had a very nice, short sorority sister. Beverly promised to set them up. My grandmother died, but Beverly followed through on her promise, and the rest is history. And of course, my mom kept in touch with Beverly Yellen until the end of Beverly's life. My mom really loved my dad, and they made a good team. They loved to go to museums and the theater and to travel. They were lucky in a lot of ways, and they knew it. Not that their life didn't have its challenges, but overall, I know she was proud of her marriage and the life they built together. Some of my favorite memories, our favorite memories, are the camping trips we took, BJBE family retreats, seders, Hanukkah parties, and so many wonderful days in Ottawa at my Aunt Phyllis and Uncle Boyd's house. My mom loved going to Ottawa for Thanksgiving and our annual family day. We always had Shabbat dinner. Our home was open to friends and family, and even in my teens when I had no desire to speak to my parents, I always knew they were there. Family pictures covered the wall going up the stairs, each one labeled with names on the back. Our home was beautiful because she made it that way, except for my dad's office. But when company came over, my mom would just close the door. My parents didn't shy away from talking about hard things, financial decisions, health issues, mental health, even end-of-life decisions. They taught us not to keep things from each other just because we didn't want to upset each other or make each other worry. There was privacy in our family, but never secrets. In January, it will be 9 years since my dad passed away. My mom did an extraordinary job of living after he died, even though it was so hard. She was brave and strong, and so many of you stood by her and helped her find her footing. She delighted in her grandchildren, Gavi and Alex. She loved to hear about your lives. She read the CJDS newsletter every week. Last summer, she was able to come to your circus camp performance and to Hardigan's for ice cream afterward. She loved you, and she was so proud of you. Erin, she adored you. She was so proud of you and grateful that I found such a loving and supportive partner. She told me so many times what a good dad you are. And she loved this temple. My parents were at the groundbreaking of the building at 901 Milwaukee Avenue. She admired her cousin, Rabbi Mark Shapiro, and we had so much fun with Mark and Hannah, playing ping pong in the basement while my dad did Mark's taxes. That was always one of my favorite nights of the year, or going over to watch The Wizard of Oz. Barb and Ben were cousins, but even more, you were her friends. She loved to hear you sing in the choir. Every year, after Yom Kippur, she would say, "This year, the music was the best it's ever been." And she literally said that every year. She was very proud of her years working for the Florence Melton Adult Mini School. She learned so much and had so much respect for Betsy Katz and Jane Shapiro and Michael Belinsky and Yonatan in Israel. And she loved the trip to Israel she took for a Melton conference. If I have made it sound like my mom was perfect, she was not, though I think she expected herself to be, and at times that took a toll. She could be stubborn. Her genuine curiosity could feel interrogating, and she was what I like to call aggressively helpful in ways only a mother who loves you fiercely can be. When we needed her, she was always there until she couldn't be. She had a beautiful, warm smile, and she was friendly to all. To her amazing friends and our extended family, thank you for bringing so much joy and meaning to her life. And thank you to all of you for being here with us today. Zichrono livracha, may her memory be a blessing. Amen.
Proverbs says, a woman of valor who can find. She is more precious than pearls. Her husband trusts in her, and so he lacks nothing. She does him good, never harm all the days of her life. She perceives that her labor is rewarding. Her candle burns on into the night. She reaches out to those in need and extends her hands to the poor. She is clothed in strength and dignity, and she faces the future cheerfully. She speaks with wisdom. The law of kindness is on her lips. Her children rise up and bless her. Her husband sings her praises. Many daughters have done valiantly, but you, Susie, you excel them all. So we had an opportunity to spend some time yesterday together. It is clear to me that Susie Dickman embodied love. She had a way with words. She was funny, although Alyssa and Reni shared with me yesterday they didn't always understand her sense of humor. She could be a bit sarcastic and self-deprecating. As you said, she loved to host your family. She loved it. Pesach Seders, you said yesterday 50 people could have been in your basement. And of course, she would use that moment of having everyone together to make a speech. She would ring a bell, or she would clink a glass, and she would stand up and thank everyone for being there. She used the opportunity, I think, to tell the people that she loved the most how she felt. And I think if she were here right now, I have no doubt that she would look out at all of you in this room and say, thank you for being here. And she would tell you just how much she loved you. Susie was born the South Shore to Raymond and Grace, and Harriet, you were 4.5 years older. And you told me how much you just loved your baby sister, so much so that when she was in the crib, you took her out of the crib, not sure if she was actually wearing anything, but you took her out, you held her, you snuggled her, you kissed her, you just wanted her to know how much you loved her. And while you didn't move in the same circles, you had your friends and she had her friends, you would have done anything for each other, you told me. And as you got older, you cherished your sister time. Michael would go off skiing and Susie would fly to Arizona and would spend the week with Harriet, just the two of you, sisters, spending time. She graduated from South Shore High School, went on to the University of Michigan, but she did not like it there. So she ended up coming home, figuring out where she was going to go to school, and eventually ending up at the University of Illinois. And it was there that you told me that a neighbor took her under his wing, and to make sure that she was okay, so that she could go on and finish school, receive a degree in English, teaching eventually at Chicago Vocational School, and then English at von Steuben. She reaches out to those in need. Susie was a connector. Everywhere she went, she made friends, and she's kept them until this day. In touch with friends from childhood, in touch with those with whom she taught at von Steuben, even some of her former students, having lunch with them. And you shared with me that so many of those seders and those family dinners, you never quite knew who would show up. It could have been someone Susie had bumped into on the street or in the store that didn't have a place to go for Shabbat dinner or for Seder. It could have been someone she just met. She was simply welcoming, and her table was always full. And she always did it with a smile and a twinkle in her eye. She and Marv bought their house in Highland Park with a pool just so that it would be a gathering place for family and friends. And indeed, it was. I'm sure many of us have received that invitation, my family included when we first moved here. Just come over, knock on the door. If we're not there, park in the driveway, come around back, play in the pool. It's great. It didn't matter if they were there or not. They wanted their house to be the center for people to come and feel loved and welcomed. Her husband trusts in her, and so he lacks nothing. We heard how Susie and Marv met, and Harriet, you said they dated for about a year or so before they were married, and they were married for 47 years. And as you shared with me one day when you were talking to your dad about their first date, Marv actually said to the two of you, "I was so relieved that your mom did all the talking on the first date." This would be a reoccurring theme throughout their marriage. And when I asked you why they loved each other, Alexander, you said it the best. You said they just complimented each other, and that they did. Your dad pushed your mom to experience life, to go to theater, to go to the symphony, to travel. And your mom provided your dad with a glorious social life. But really, what you told me is they shared the same values, the same interests. They were doers, and they loved and enjoyed the life that they built. Her children rise up to bless her. And as a mom, as you said, she was there. You came home every day from lunch through 6th grade. Can you imagine that? Susie was there waiting, often with mac and cheese on the table, they told me, but she was there nevertheless to greet you with open arms, provide warm meal, say hello, check in, and then send you on your way. She was at all of your events, always interested in not only what you were doing, but really what your friends were doing in their lives. And yours was the house that everyone could come to. Again, always welcoming, always open. In fact, Reni, you and Aaron, Alexander and Gavi lived with your mom for a while also your cousins Garrett and Valerie were living there. Veronica, thank you, Veronica. It was not just a metaphor. If you needed something, anything, she was there. Door wide open, arms wide open. And Aaron, you had a special relationship with Susie. She was like a mom to you. When you lived together, she was a night owl. You were a night owl. The two of you would stay up late. You would be folding laundry. She might have been reading one of her catalogs or watching TV. But really, you just cherished the time you got to hang out together. You were her fix-it guy, and she was so proud of you. We know that relationships with mothers-in-law and sons-in-law are not always easy, but that wasn't the case for the two of you. And you both recognized what a relationship and what a blessing that relationship was. And of course, Gavi and Alexander, you remember living with bubbie, swimming in her pool, and bubbie was an avid rubber duck collector. How many of you were ever in the duck bathroom? Duck eccentric, you called her. They loved the basement with the pinball machine, and of course, we can't forget the grabbers and the back scratchers. Ask them about them. And Laura and Karen, you loved your aunt. You remember sleeping over when you were little with your cousins. You were allowed to eat anything on the weekends, especially candy. You could climb on the counters only on the weekends, as long as you did not wake up Aunt Susie and Uncle Marv. And when your parents were away, Aunt Susie would get up early, drive to Glenview, make you lunch, make sure that you got to school. And of course, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about Susie's great love for Asrui, where she was a camper and a counselor, and of course, BJBE. And as you said to me, camp and BJBE and family were inextricably combined and intertwined, and she was passionate about all three. You lived in Highland Park, and on your way to BJBE in Glenview, which was a schlep, some of you could ask about the carpool situation, but I won't go into that now. You passed 3 Reformed synagogues, and you once asked why. Why do we make this drive? And your mom said, this is the only place for us. This is where our family will always be. She was so proud of Rabbi Shapiro. She was proud to be his family. And Barbara, you shared with me the other night that Susie invited you to come to lunch when you had just been welcomed into the family. And you didn't only stay for lunch, you ended up staying until about 6 p.m. that night, and that was that your friendship was sealed. And you really became more than family. You were extraordinary friends, you and Ben, Hannah, and Mark. And that is an extraordinary gift when family become friends in that way. She perceives that her labor is rewarding, her candle burns on into the night. She was a doer. She always had to be doing something. She needed and loved to keep herself busy. She was retired, but yet had stacks and stacks of paperwork, you told me. She went back to teaching at the Florence Melton program. She loved it so deeply. She volunteered, she hosted. She looked through catalogs to find the perfect gift or some gadget that might make your lives just a bit easier. Always thinking about you. Always wanting to help and give of her hands and her heart. She is clothed in strength and dignity. Reni and Alyssa, this year has not been easy. And the two of you have been nothing less than extraordinary. As you said to me, your mom was especially brave in these last days, but I have to say to you, the two of you were unbelievable. You were brave, and you were strong right along with her. You helped your mom die in the way in which she lived, with dignity and surrounded by incredible love. And that is a blessing and a gift. Indeed, Susie leaves behind a legacy of which to be incredibly proud. One of strength and dignity, one of responsibility, high expectations of herself and those she loved. One of tenacity and grace. She would tell you to open your hands and to open your hearts and be welcoming and thoughtful. When someone invites you to a simcha, you go, because showing up is everything. Be brave, be sassy, be a connector. Keep the people that mean everything to you close and tell them how you feel. Prioritize your friendships, family that are friends. She would remind you, but you already know this, that family is everything. Many daughters have done valiantly, but you, Susie, you excel them all. Zichrona livracha, may her memory be for a blessing. The morning you wake to bury me, you'll wonder what to wear. The sun may be shining, or maybe it will rain. It may be winter, or not. You'll say to yourself, black, aren't you supposed to wear black? And then you will remember all the times we went together to buy clothes, the prom, homecoming, just another pair of jeans or a sweater, another pair of shoes. I called you my Barbie dolls. You will remember how I loved to dress you, how beautiful you were in my eyes. The morning you wake to bury me, you will look in the mirror in disbelief. You'll reach for some makeup or not. And you won't believe that this is the morning that you'll bury your mother. But it is. As you gaze into the mirror, you will shed a tear or not, but look carefully. For hiding in your expression, you will find mine. You will see me in your eyes, in the way you laugh. You will feel me when you think of God and of love and struggle. Look into the mirror and you'll see me in a look or the way you hold your mouth or stand, a little bent or maybe straight. But you will see me. So let me tell you one last time before you dress what to wear. Put on any old thing. black or red, skirt or pants. Despite what I told you all these years, it doesn't really matter. Because I told you all these years, you are beautiful the way you are. Dress yourself in honor and dignity. Dress yourself in confidence and self-love. Wear a sense of obligation to do for this world, for you are one of the lucky ones, and there is so much to do, to fix. Take care of each other. Take care of your heart, of your soul. Talk to God. Wear humility and compassion. When you wake to bury me, put on a strong sense of self, courage, and understanding. I am sorry. Forgive me. I am sorry. Stand at my grave clothed in a gown of forgiveness, dressed like an angel would be, showing compassion and unconditional love. For at that moment, all that will be left of me is love. Love. I invite you all now to rise. El Malei Rachamim Shochen Bamaromim Hamsei Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanfei HaShechina Im Kedushim Otehorim Kezohar Harakim Azirim Et Nishmat Sheina Friedel Bat Raymond Grace Shelachal Yulama Balarachamim Yasirei HaBeseiter Kenafav Leolamim B'Yitzrar HaChaim Et Nishmata Adonai Hu Nachalata B'Tanuach B'Shalom Al Mishkava V'Nomar Amen.
God of abundant mercy, God most high, may the soul of our loved one, Susie, who has gone into eternity, find the gift of perfect peace in your embrace, together with the holy and pure, whose light shines like the radiance of heaven. Compassionate God, hold her close to you forever, so that her soul may be bound up in the bond of life eternal. May she find a home with you, and may she rest in peace. And together we say, Amen. You may be seated.
Friends, this concludes the services here in the synagogue. The interment and burial services will continue at Rose Hill Cemetery in Chicago. For those of you joining with us in the funeral procession to the cemetery, please do keep the following safety precautions in mind. Please make sure your bright headlights and your four-way hazard flashers are on. Please be sure to obtain an orange funeral safety sticker for your windshield, and we will be providing several of the cars in the procession with a magnetic orange flag to be placed on top of your car. Please travel as close as safety permits to the car in front of you to avoid any gaps in the procession. For your own safety and security, I would suggest not speaking or texting while driving to the cemetery in the funeral procession. As we make our way through the intersections locally, also please feel free to use your horn liberally as we make our way through. If the light changes in the intersection, please do proceed with caution and make every attempt to follow the car in front of you as we make our way to the cemetery. The family will be together for Shiva at the Weinger residence at 9 Abbotsford Drive in Lincolnshire. And they will be sitting Shiva this evening from 5:30 until 8 p.m. and Tuesday as well. When you're there at the residence, please park on the right side, which I believe is the west side of the road, to allow for traffic in and out of the neighborhood. Also, on Wednesday and Thursday, the family will be at the Carrington of Lincolnwood at 3501 Northeast Parkway in Lincolnwood. And again, on Wednesday and Thursday, that'll be from 5:30 until 8 p.m. The family has also requested any memorial contributions in Susie's memory to either Congregation BJBE, Sinai Temple in Michigan City, or the Israel Emergency Campaign. All of that information, as well as the information regarding Shiva, is available on the service folder that you should have received when you came into the chapel, to the sanctuary this morning. If you did not receive one, we do have those for you as you leave. And for those of you joining us online, that information is also available on our website. The following individuals have been asked to serve as pallbearers: Aaron Nessel, Gavi Nessel, Elliot Shapiro, Jeff McGilner, Garrett Miller, Jack Miller, Mason Miller, Michael Cutler, and Michael Miller. And at this time, I would ask everyone to please rise and stand in place as I ask for the pallbearers to please come forward, and we'll escort the casket, the family, and the clergy from the sanctuary.